Washington is pressing Kyiv to accept a draft peace plan that hands Putin major wins. From ceding Donbas to slashing Ukraine's army and weapons. As Zelensky faces a proposal very comfortable for Putin, one question towers over the war. Is Trump pushing Ukraine toward a deal Kyiv can't survive? The Trump administration, together with Russian officials, has drafted a sweeping new proposal aimed at ending Russia's war in Ukraine, presenting terms that would require significant concessions from Kyiv. According to several people briefed on the effort, the plan has been directly conveyed to President Volodymyr Zelensky, with Washington signaling that Ukraine must accept the framework's central conditions. A person familiar with the talks told the Financial Times that a group of Russian and American current and former officials were involved in drawing up the draft, which remains at a framework stage. The document, containing 28 points, was presented to Kyiv this week by US President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff. Witkoff traveled to Miami to meet Ukraine's current Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council and former Defense Minister Rustem Umerov to go through the proposal in detail, according to two people familiar with the discussions. People with direct knowledge of the document say the draft plan would require Ukraine to cede the remainder of the eastern Donbas region, including territory that is currently under Kyiv's control. It would also oblige Ukraine to cut the size of its armed forces by half. Crucially, the framework proposes that Ukraine abandon key categories of weaponry and includes a rollback of US military assistance that has been vital to Ukraine's defense throughout the conflict. Such conditions could leave the country more vulnerable to future Russian aggression, according to those briefed. The draft also contains political provisions that echo long-standing Kremlin objectives. These include recognizing Russian as an official state language in Ukraine and granting official status to the local branch of the Russian Orthodox Church. A person familiar with the document described it as heavily tilted towards Russia, while another person briefed on the plan characterized it as very comfortable for Putin. Officials in Kyiv who were informed of the proposal said it closely matched the Kremlin's maximalist demands. They indicated that the plan would be a non-starter for Ukraine unless significant changes were made. The Kremlin has, however, not commented on the development yet. The White House also did not immediately respond. The existence of the proposed framework was first reported by Axios. Following publication of the Axios report, Brent crude, the international oil benchmark, fell as much as 3% before slightly reducing losses to trade 2.3% lower at $63.43. West Texas Intermediate fell to a low of $58.77. The proposal emerges after a period of deteriorating US-Russia relations. In late October, Washington imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia's major oil companies and cancelled a bilateral summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin that had been scheduled to take place in Budapest. The decision followed growing frustration in Washington with Moscow's stance, culminating in a tense call between the country's top diplomats, which convinced US officials that Russia was not prepared to negotiate. Meanwhile, two people familiar with the matter told Reuters on November 19th that the United States has signaled to President Zelensky that Ukraine must accept the main points of the US drafted framework. These include giving up territory, relinquishing some weapons, and reducing the size of Ukraine's armed forces.